retention strategy isn't the AI era. It's about speed. It's about wisdom. It's about how we apply business psychology. When technology accelerates change, top performers stay. When innovation is ambitious, human, and led with reason, that's what really keeps them there. So welcome to the People Strategy Forum. I'm Sam Reeve, your host and CEO of CompTeam, where we help organizations design people-centered total rewards that help attract, retain, and motivate top performers. And today's topic is responsible innovation. It is the new revolution, the new retention strategy on how to keep top performers when AI changes everything. And our guest today is Dr. Xavier Pavie, business philosopher and professor at the Essex School of Business and founder of the Imagination Center, a leader in the field of responsible innovation. His work bridges philosophy, imagination, and innovation, and he's spent years helping refine and define responsible innovation in academic settings and applied settings in the business. What makes this conversation especially important today and compelling is the executive experience connected to Dr. Xavier's Alpine and Business Philosophy Retreat on the Mont Blanc Massif, and is basically a small group of exclusive CEOs that combines a physical ascent with business strategy, reflection, and a view from above to help leaders rethink for themselves the world that they're shaping. That experience is a powerful metaphor for responsible innovation in this new AI age. So let's welcome Dr. Xavier Pavie. Welcome, Pavie.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's a great pleasure to be with you today.
Yes, and so Xavier, as we kind of get into the topic here today, so the first thing, I just love to introduce you more because I've known you for years now. But for our audience, let's talk a little bit about what brought you to this path of helping organizations really understand how to connect philosophy, imagination, and innovation. What led you to this?
Thank you very much, Sam, which is a very important question. And I'm in that field for years, maybe decades now. I have two backgrounds. One background in business, master degree in business, but I have also a master degree in philosophy. And then I did my PhD in philosophy. And the very important point to me is to understand the question of innovation. Just to give you two or three things. Innovation comes from a Latin word, which is innovare. So when you look at innovation, we have to split in two parts. In, as we use in English, inside, but actually it's a Latin word, and it means inside. And novation, it's super important for your podcast, for your clients, and so on and so forth, is dedicated to change. So when you look at the word innovation, on one hand, in as inside, novation as a change. What does it mean? It means that innovation is change inside. Whatever you can do, you're going to change inside for a specific reason, which is to survive. How could I survive? Only if I'm going to change myself inside. It could be for myself, as I just said, as well as it could be for a company, for an organization. How is it possible to survive without change inside? Definitely impossible. So basically, my first topic is understanding innovation, change inside. The question behind that is to what extent innovation could be, I would say, confiscated, or I would say just for technology, AI, and so on and so forth. Definitely it's important. And when we talk about innovation, everybody would talk about AI, we talk about new technology, Tesla, SpaceX, and so on and so forth. But definitely it's not just that. Innovation is for HR. Innovation is for operation management. Innovation is also for every single compartment into the company. When you need to change yourself inside the company or yourself according to new external factors. So basically, if you have a new competitors, the question is not just about a new product or a new service, but also the question of how could I adapt myself inside myself in order to survive? So this question is a philosophical question. The first time we used the term innovation, that was more than 2,500 years ago in Greece. In Greece, in the south of Athens, there is a new approach, a new organization by the counselor of the kings of Athens. The name of the guy is Xenophon. And Xenophon gave an advice to the kings of Athens in order to, not to get a new product or new service, but to organize in a better way, the way to be more productive, to be more effective. And he used the term kenotomia in Greek, meaning that it's innovation. So actually, innovation and philosophy, they have the same ground. And the question to me for decades now is how could we combine both? And to stop here, we can call it responsible innovation. Because when you change something, you cannot do at whatever the cost. For people, human, as well as for the planet, for political issue, and so on and so forth. So basically, the mix of innovation and philosophy will find a common point, which is responsible innovation. And I've been nominated in 2012 by European Commission in order to define what responsible innovation could be.
Yes. And I love how you bring the connection between what responsible innovation is. It's not just reacting or seeing what the new innovation or what the new products are around us, but it's really taking the how do we change as a human? How do we change as a leader with that innovation to make that a stronger ethical connection. So what brought you to understand that there was that important connection that needed to be there, that stronger ethical connection with innovation and the change that a leader needs to take to ensure that is responsible for the organization?
There is, and sorry for that, but I need to go back again to the Latin word, so the etymology of the word of responsibility. Where does it come from? We understood innovation in a way, but responsibility comes from another Latin word, which is respondere. Respondere means that I will be responsible of what I've done. So basically, for many, many years, innovation and responsibility, okay, what I've done, I need to take the responsibility of it. It's in English, as you hear, and French, but basically in English, it's sometimes a bit more easy to say because you have different words that we don't have in French. For instance, you have accountability, you have liability, you have responsibility. And the three words are super important because responsibility means that, okay, according to what I've done, I need to take something, I need to take an action, I need to repair, or I need to do something. But being accountable is a bit different, and being liable is different. The question is not about what I've done in the past. The question is, what can I do now? And what can I do for the future? That is why we can mix both innovation, meaning that what can I do in the future, and responsibility, to what extent I'm responsible or accountable or liable of what I'm going to do. So in a company, for a leader, for instance, you cannot imagine, Sam, the numerous times that I need to go in that kind of simple, basic definition for every single CEO's, COMEX, direction committees, and so on and so forth. I need to explain clearly in a very simple way to CEOs, leaders, guys, what is responsibility for you? It's not just about what you've done, but also what you're going to do. And how could you give the responsibility of your team, your managers? How actually you explain them being responsible, being accountable, being liable, and about what? What you've done or what you're going to do. So it's absolutely simple. Many, I would say, seminars I've done is mostly dedicated to we have to understand responsibility. And what I'm doing for that, I use philosophical text. Many philosophers use this terminology of what is responsibility. If, for instance, I need to use an American, a US philosopher, it could be John Rawls, for instance. John Rawls is one of the key figures of what is responsibility. It's not just about that. For instance, the first philosopher born in US is Ralph Waldo Emerson. Emerson was the guy who defined responsibility as an individual. What can I do for the society? What should I do for a society, for a company, for my city, and so on, my community, and so on and so forth? So basically, we need to go back to that kind of philosopher. First step, let's share a text of Ralph Waldo Emerson about the self-esteem. What does it mean, the self-esteem? It's absolutely linked to responsibility. What about responsibility and justice? With John Rawls, for instance. So with CEOs, with leaders, we go back to this kind of fundamental text to understand responsibility. And when everybody understood that, we can move on. Now, how could we spread that into my companies, with my leaders, to also attract new leaders? Let me just give you an example. I'm working with talent acquisition leaders or talent acquisition directors in many companies. One important key point is not about the last AI version they have in a company. It's not about the last iPhone or Samsung they're going to get. Not at all. What they're talking about? Human. They're talking about the human relationship into the company. The talent acquisition directors, they spend all their time to recruit people, to recruit person, talking about the human relationship into the company. And for that, we have to talk about philosophy. What is the relationship we want to develop, we want to get? So that's an example of how is it important for leaders to understand it.
Yes, thank you for bringing that in. But now let's jump into the Alpine business philosophy experience that you provide executives. Now I know you've been able to attract several very notable high level CEOs to attend your events, and for those future CEOs, be able to rub elbows with those important people and that have developed such successful businesses is such a great opportunity. Now, this retreat is described as more than a mountain journey, but it's the ascent of both the body and the mind, blending that physical effort with deep reflection. So why is this kind of experience such a powerful way to help executives think differently about innovation and responsibility and developing that next phase of their business?
That's a very good point about this kind of retreat or seminar. It's something I've done, and actually it has been actually a request, a need by other CEOs, leaders to say, okay, how could we get it? How could we do it? Let me explain to you in a couple of words. What I've said since the beginning of our discussion is understanding innovation, understanding responsibility. But the question behind that is how to feel it. How to feel it first-hand experience. When first-hand experience, it's to be responsible of something grounded, I would say. So, for instance, this seminar is dedicated to feel both. The first one is to go into the huge Mont Blanc massif, and it is 5 days just walking, with more hiking than walking, but it's not climbing. It's more hiking. It's quite intense, but it's not climbing. It's more important to understand this notion of hiking, which is we're going to use ropes, we're going to use crampons, we're going to use our gear, but it's absolutely safe, it's absolutely simple and accessible for everyone. But when you do that, you're going to be responsible of someone. For instance, when we walk on the glacier, for instance, and we're going to go through a massive glacier, for instance, with a huge hole of the glacier, you can feel the responsibility that you have because you're going to be in charge of someone else. Most of the time, we are a group about 10 people. So we're going to have 2 or 3, we call it the cordée, which is different people, many people, 2 or 3 people per rope. And then they're going to be responsible of the one in the front of you as well as the one behind you. It's super simple, but important to do it. Then another experience you're going to get is to see the climate disaster. So the climate disaster through the melting glacier. So you're going to experience that first-hand experience again, because you can see actually how the glacier was so high just 1 decade ago and how is it today. So it's another perspective of responsibility. It's not just the responsibility of your body, in the front of you or behind, but also your responsibility as a human into the massive glacier. The question behind that is, how could I feel it? How could I express it? That is why on the evening, into the refuge, we have like a workshop. And into that workshop, we go back to what I said previously. We're going to read some philosophical text. So many discussion we're going to have. And that is why we are two to do it. First one is the guide. We have a high mountaineer's guide, absolutely amazing one. He climbed Everest. He is a producer of many movies for the mountains. He was with the lady who climbed the first 14 peaks higher than 8,000 meters. So it's absolutely experienced guide with a full of experience to express, to explain, to guide you into the glacier as well with the crampons when we have to hike. On the evening, and on the other side, it will be myself when I'm going to give like a workshop dedicated to philosophy to feel, okay, what did you experience today? What is the responsibility that you feel as a person, but as a human too? So we're going to do that for 5 days, quite intensive, not quite easy, so accessible to everyone, but a very amazing good experience.
Yes, I've been on the Mer de Glace there on that hike, and you were mentioning how the glacier has shrunk over the years and just gotten lower and lower into the canyon, and it's quite shocking, when we think about that in that perspective. And so I think this definitely gives us the right setting for the mindset that we need to have as a leader of our future business. Now, the other thing that I think is super compelling is that many executives out there are looking for that opportunity to meet with some of their peers, meet with some peers of larger companies, so that they can understand where where they can take their organization. But you take this to a step further, where they're actually tethered to a couple of executives on each side of them, working hand in hand in a different context, out of familiarity from both of them. And so this brings a whole new level of connectivity and networking. So I think it's an excellent idea, and it's a great way to put leaders into the mindset that they need to have for those important discussions at the end of the day, when you were bringing those exercises in. So Xavier, I'd like to
definitely. Yeah.
go ahead.
No. Actually, what you mentioned is very important, because every single CEO's leader, whatever, they talk all the time about, guys, you have to go outside of your comfort zone. It's important to understand what's behind the boundaries, to push the boundaries. But most of the time, it's just talk.
Yeah.
For the very first time, we're going to put leaders, speakers together and say, guys, this is the boundaries. This is the uncomfortable zone. So push yourself, not just physically, but mentally, with people that basically they're your peers. You can interact with them, and together you're going to push your comfortable zone.
Yes, and I think that new setting provides leaders with a new way to express their fears. Their ego goes away in situations
Absolutely.
like that, when they're forced to really take the pressure of a situation in, and they can bring that innovation back to work, which is that learning back to the workplace, which can be transformative for their organization. But what I'd like to ask Xavier is when you've worked with these leaders, these CEOs from large companies all across Europe, when after the event, what is the feedback you've heard from them?
There is two form of feedback or shape of feedback. The first one is uh, what I've done and experienced is okay. I want to come back with my team because what I felt actually, I want them to feel it. I want them to have this experience as well. So most of the time they come back with their own team. And the second one is what is the next step? What is the next step? And it might not be in the mountain. It could be traditional in a office. How could I continue it? Because the point is, when you do a seminar, a traditional one, most of the times you go back to your office and it's done. In that way, what we've organized is to do so many a point of contact workshop. So the point of contact workshop, to be honest, that was not my idea. It was an idea of one of the guys there. He said, okay, for these very small groups, we can still to be in touch, even though we are in our office in Paris, and we can meet and interact with each other. The purpose is to continue to have the feeling we got when we went to the mountain and to bring it back into the city. And that's super important, Sam. The point to me is not just to get an experience, an amazing one. It's not something quite hard to do to organize. The point is, how could we make sure the leader will feel it and they will bring it back into the office, which is the most important point. And that is why I said all the time at the end, the journey starts now. The journey starts now. What are you going to do thanks to the experience you had? So thanks to the experience you had, you can transform your company. You can transform your leadership team. You can transform it. You have to spread it. Don't hide what you've done. Spread what you've done, because you should explain into the details what you felt when you were into the mountain. So that is why this experience is super important to what you said at the beginning, to attract people, to retain people, to develop people. Is just a human experience. What we ask to them is to come to the mountain. They don't use their smartphone. They can take a couple of pictures on the evening. They can check their email, but basically you cannot do it for safety reason. You cannot do it because you don't want to do. So at the age of artificial intelligence, at the age of algorithm and so on, what if we don't have the human relationship? Definitely, we should keep it and we should strengthen it. And to do so, there is no better experience than to have this kind of interaction.
Right, and I think that's that brings back the importance of the humanity and connections with others. But I'd like to talk about a particular scenario, or as not an experience that I've had with you, Xavier, and I know we've done so many climbs together in a similar setting, and I've learned a lot of things from you as far as and I think that executives can learn the same. One of the big things is that in many companies there's a conversation about artificial intelligence, and it's dominated by efficiency. And one thing that I've learned from you in our previous climbs is that you have to start out. I mean, it's when you're going up the mountain and you have to go to the top. I mean, you can't start off in a sprint. You have to keep a certain pace, so that you can have the endurance to get to the top and not burn out. And I think there's some parallels to how companies are viewing artificial intelligence today. What are the types of learnings and that you think that is a parallel there, and what executives should be watch out for as they're bringing on new technologies?
If I may, you forgot a couple of things super important. We don't share the same language. And my English is not super good, as well as your French, it might not super good as well. We want together go to the summit. Third thing, we missed the summit the year before. So actually, because of due to the climate change and so on, but we didn't do it. We were prepared to do it and we didn't do it. So basically, we failed the first year. So actually, and on the top of that, to To be honest, you are a better climber than myself. You were born in a mountains, so your altitude sickness, you don't feel it. So basically, if you look into the paper, we were not supposed to go together on the top of European mountain Mont Blanc. We were not supposed to do it. Language, the shape, the what we fail. We don't live in the same country. At the end of the day, are those two people are going to just submit together? The answer is no. And we did it. We did it thanks to probably the difference we have and the same vision and objective we had. I wanted to go there for the first time of my life, as well as yourself. So we were absolutely motivated, and it's very costly actually. So we were very motivated with the same vision, regardless the language, regardless the complexity, regardless we failed the first, we did it. So it is absolutely an amazing learning from whatever the complexity you can have in a team. So in a team, you can have so different people, so different language, so different point of view, but at the end, if the common goal is absolutely clear and there is zero place, zero room to challenge the common goal, everybody can do in the same way. And that kind of feeling I wanted to express to all the leaders that wants to come and to experience it, how to share the same common goal, which is something that you have in your guts and you want to transform it.
Yes. So as we're thinking about the context of this event, and what are some characteristics of leaders that you think that should attend? Or is there certain things that that people are stuck on, or certain mistakes that you see leaders make when they're trying to humanize their organization, given the AI transformation? What do you think is this event best for? What type of executive?
Yeah, what you mentioned about AI is super important, because I don't know any leaders, CEOs that they don't have AI each time when they wake up. What is my next job for myself, for my company? So actually, I know that I'm gonna be hurted by AI in a way or another one. So basically, every single minute I need to think about it, and I don't know actually the final path. But it doesn't mean that you have the step back, the distance, in order to think about AI. The question is not to be behind your screen all day long, between and beyond algorithm, new AI, new generations that most of the time leaders doesn't understand, because actually it's a bit too complex to understand everything. So the question is, what AI means for my company? What AI means for me? So that's very simple examples that we can bring to this kind of workshop and seminar. For instance, when I'm talking about responsibility on the evening or into the glacier, whatever, bringing AI topic into the workshop is absolutely relevant, because it means that what could I do for that? It's what we call it imagination. The imagination is something that you can get when you are not into your business or into your work. Imagination will come over when you have a step back, when you have a distance. So that is why what we are looking for this seminar, this retreat, it's seasoned, experienced leader. Actually, is the one who has a huge question that it's not very easy to get an answer. We need to be able to have what we can call it a new fresh eye, a new point of view. And to do so, you have to challenge yourself. Put yourself outside of your daily job, daily work, daily routine, and then you're going to see it. As you mentioned, Sam, I'm running the Imagination Center that I've created 15 years ago. And one of the purpose is to bring speakers, international, very known speakers, to talk about their own imagination. No one, I probably I've invited more than 200 speakers. No one told me I got the super idea or I got the solutions or to fix my problems behind my computer or behind my screen. No one. They said, I play with kids. I did it when I do my sport. I did it when I talk it with my family. I did it when I walk, many times when I walk. That's very important to understand that how to fix a problem is not to be stuck with the problem. It's counterintuitive, definitely counterintuitive. Most of the time, you truly believe that, okay, I need to fix it, I need to fix it, I need to fix it. No. The question of AI, it's a huge problem for everyone, and you cannot fix it when you be stuck with AI. And it's for every single thing. I want to reshape my organization. I don't know how to reshape it. The point is not to be behind your PowerPoint and to find this way, or this way. Definitely not. The question is, how could I step back to think twice, but in a different perspective about my organization? So whatever the question you have, the complexity of the questions, the best way to do, it's not something new, right? The psychological studies demonstrated for years, actually for decades, that how it's important to do it. And the learnings of philosophy helps you to question in a better way. That's basically the purpose of philosophy. How is it possible to question in a different way? How is it possible to challenge myself, to question myself? That's the beauty of philosophy, which is the first step to become a philosopher, is how could I question, important question, why we do the thing we do. Why we do the thing we do with AI. Why we do the thing we do with new organization in my companies, my new retention strategy, my new talent acquisition strategy, and so on.
Yes. And so I think that is the big takeaway for our session today for our leaders listening in is the big thing is to, if you're stuck on a problem or if you're looking for innovation or that new idea, you need to step away for a moment to remove yourself from that day-to-day grind in the business and think about and take time to think strategically. I think that's important. And I think a lot of leaders know that, but they forget it.
No, it's absolutely what you've done. What I just said, everybody understands that and everybody knows that. The question is now how to do it.
Right. Exactly. So kind of to wrap things up today, we've explored a powerful idea in the AI age. Responsible innovation is not a soft add-on. It's a strategic discipline that needs to be harnessed. And I want to put the double underline the responsible as part of that innovation. We need to think about the right step forward instead of just rushing into the void. So when leaders create this space for reflection, they widen their perspectives, and innovation with ethical clarity comes in that gap. So it's important to ensure that you're taking time to really think strategically. Once again, Xavier, thank you so much for bringing this conversation.
Thank you.
And it's always exciting to talk to you about these types of things. I think it's such an important conversation right now when we have we're facing AI and humanity and how to move forward with both of those. And it's and thank you for the opportunity for this new event that you have in the Mont Blanc Massif. I think that is an exceptional opportunity for executives out there. And if you happen to be one of those executives listening in and you would like to learn more, I'll definitely provide information. But Xavier, I believe you have a website for the initiative. Is that correct? How do people sign up?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. We have a full description of the event. And of course, I'm definitely open to answer every single question.
Great. And how can people find you or connect with you?
I'm in every single, I would say, social network. So it's very easy to find me. And I'm going to share the website. I have one website with my name, xavierpavie.com, where I put some different information dedicated to that. But I'm going to share as well with you the link that maybe you can share. with your audience.
Excellent. Well, will do. So if for leaders listening in, you'll see the details in the show notes, and you'll have that at the bottom of the page here. So, but one thing is that if this episode has helped you in any way, make sure that you subscribe, rate, and send this to a colleague of yours that needs a little bit of adventure in their life, that needs to take a break and find the new next thing for them, to create that mental space. And I want you to ask yourself one question this week. Are we moving too fast, or are we moving wisely? So it's important for us to reflect on how we're moving, and so that we don't step into the wrong intersection. It's important. All right. For everyone listening in to the People Strategy Forum, thank you. And we'll talk again next week. All right. Take care.